Hey, this is Matt with Let's Talk Music. I'm here with Julia Poorman. We're here to talk about her new single, Already Got It.
Yes.
So, very good song. Enjoyed it a
Thank
lot.
you.
Your music is definitely different than what I normally have on.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's new for me. Which I'm open to all genres, all types of music. Like I said, I love the song. I played it for my wife, and she liked it. So and she's kind of hard on music. So
Okay, so I got her approval.
right. So, but tell me a little bit about the song. I mean, the already got it. I mean, you can kind of get the gist of it from listening to it, but I mean, what I want to hear your take on
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I've just always kind of struggled with comparing my life to others. And I think it started at a young age, just like comparing how well I'm doing in school or at sports, to my friends. And then as you get older, like real world problems start to set in and you start comparing yourself in other ways. And I think like my ego just always had a way of making me feel lesser. And just making me always kind of feel like I was never living up to um, or succeeding as well as the people around me. And I wrote the song really when I started realizing like it is not those things outside of you. It is not the way that you look. It is not how successful you are, as far as like getting so much money, having X amount of dollars in the bank account or having this beautiful house or having all the things outside of you that we always feel like we need in order to feel fulfilled. And so I started just like writing. I had this like mantra in my head and I just started writing a song about it. And I still even play it for myself when I feel like I'm kind of getting back into that habit or like old patterns start to kind of creep in. I'll just, I'll sing that song to myself, which is kind of funny, but it really does help. Like it does kind of help get you back into the mindset of the things that bring you true fulfillment and the things that will last you a lifetime regardless of like um your living situation or your relationship situation. um you really have to have a good relationship with yourself.
it. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that is a very good explanation. Uh,
Thank you.
and I kind of that, like I said, I got the gist of it, and I mean that's what I got from it. I mean, the way I looked at it was, you're wanting all these other things, like you said, but it's kind of like a what you need, you already got.
Yep.
So, friendships, family, the important things in life that people kind of overlook all the time because of the material things and because of social status and everything.
Yes.
So, very, very well written song. I love that explanation though. And
Thank you.
so, before we started recording, you said you're in Asbury Park. So, people will think of music, they think of Los Angeles, New York, whatever, but
Hmm.
Jersey is produced a lot of great bands. I mean, and Asbury Park is very famous for music. I mean, of course, you know that.
Yes, yes, good old Bruce Springsteen, Stone Pony.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So, I mean, you're in great company out there. Actually, one of my favorite big bands of back in the day was Skid Row. They're out of Jersey. Bon Jovi. I mean, just
Yep.
so many different bands that Jersey has put out, and it's like they don't really get the recognition because them guys get famous, they move to California.
Right, right. They lose
Right.
their roots.
Right. So, I mean, I think John Bon Jovi really is the only one that I've ever heard of that's like really just true to Jersey.
Hmm.
Well, him and Bruce Springsteen, but
Springsteen, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I that makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of funny because, you know, it transitioning from growing up in, central New York where I was actually born and I lived until I was 19, when I started doing music, I always kind of put myself out there as being from central New York, being from upstate New York. And now living here, it's kind of funny to like refocus the lens and be like, no, you're an artist out of Asbury Park, like out of this like amazing creative zone in the country with a lot of really cool history.
Hmm.
It's been fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you did you did the beach scenes in Deal, New Jersey, and then you
Hmm.
did the it says the bakery at Confections of a Rock Star
Yes.
in Asbury downtown Asbury Park.
Yes.
Um, so that's a actually really cool name for a bakery.
It is so cool. Yeah, and she's had a lot of famous people in there as well. Like if you go in there, there's like, photos on the wall of all the famous people. Of course, you get like the Jersey Shore cast, but then you have people like Bruce Springsteen, and actually the drummer for the Go-Go's was just in there doing a book signing the other day. So it's a very cool spot with a lot of
Oh,
cool
wow.
roots. The owner's really an awesome person.
Yeah, that was God, Jane Wheatland, ain't it? Or what? Jane Wheatland, yeah. She I remember hearing my mom play the Go-Go's when I was a kid, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm definitely familiar with them. But yeah, I mean that's really cool. I mean it is, like I said, it's a mecca for music down out that way. And I've talked to a lot of people and told them, hey, Columbus is the same way, but Columbus is more, we're more metal. We like
Mm.
the big stadium concerts with the heavy bands. I mean, we got no, I can't say it's like 100% because like when country comes here, people go crazy.
Yes.
But I mean, we got Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks coming soon, and that's going to sell out like,
Of course.
yeah. I mean, Billy Joel is just a phenomenal musician, but I mean, like it's over there, New Jersey, New York. Heck, a lot of bands are out of Connecticut now that, you guys are you're putting up a good fight against the West Coast.
That's
So
good to know.
now your music, what do you consider your genre?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I feel like when I first started, I was a little more folky. And this song in particular definitely has some folk vibe to it. But overall, and I'm going to be releasing a lot more music in the coming months, and so I hope to be able to maybe expand my genre a little bit. But overall, I would say singer-songwriter, indie, some stuff indie pop, maybe a little bit of alternative in there. But yeah, all in those kind of lanes.
So what is it that got you into music? I mean, what inspired you to become a singer-songwriter?
Oh, well, I just feel like I had no other choice. Not like in a sense of like my parents told me to do it or anything like that. I just feel like it was just something that I was just naturally doing. When I was growing up, I think I wrote my first song at like 3 or 4 years old, and my sister would do it too. My sister would write songs. We would write songs together, and we would make musicals and set up the camcorder in the hallway and make musicals all day long. And so I don't know. It's just my mom was in a band when she was a kid and when she was in high school, and she's a singer and a songwriter herself. She never really did much with it because she became a mom pretty young. She got married pretty young and just really wanted to settle down and make a family. So she became a teacher. She wanted that like stable income, and she didn't want to live like the artist life. But yeah, the genes just passed on, and my sister's got it in her blood too, but she doesn't really want to be in like the public eye or anything. She's a graphic designer. She sits behind her computer all day. That's where she's comfortable. But for me, I don't know. I've just always been inspired. I love listening to music. I love how healing music can be, and how much comfort it's brought me through every stage of my life. I just find like, oh, when I'm going through something, like I'll just keep playing one record, and it makes me feel like understood. And yeah, so I think I've had that in my blood since I was little. And and yeah, I guess it just started with I've always had melodies in my head and I've always really had something to say. So I was writing songs about love before I even knew what love was, but I knew that people were singing about it. So I was like trying to write songs about it myself. And it is funny to listen back to some of those old songs, like with just like the very conceptual ideas of like 12-year-old Julia, you know.
Yeah, you sound like a younger female version of me, minus the beautiful voice and talent. 'Cause
Oh,
when I sing, dogs howl. So, but no,
no, I'm
I
sure.
I'm the same way. I love music, and I can name easily 50 songs right off the top of my head that has some kind of healing power or some kind of real moment in my life. And
Yes.
so, I mean, that's why I like doing this. I love talking to people that are like me, because, like I said, my wife, she likes music, but she doesn't like talking about it. If I say, "Hey, who's this?" She's like, "I don't know."
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how like indifferent some people can be to it. It's kind of like food in that way, which I've found like some people love food. Like I love food. I get really excited about food, but other people are just like, yeah, I eat when I'm hungry and like I don't know, it tastes good. And I'm like, "What? What do you mean it tastes good? Like it's amazing." You know?
Right.
It's kind of the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean it I have a website that I've been working on forever because I'm not a web designer, and I don't want to pay thousands of dollars to have it done. So I just watch a lot of YouTube videos and do a little bit of work here and there. But um that's one of the things I wrote a blog about, was how music makes you feel. And it was
Mm.
like, it can make you feel happy, it can make you feel sad, but it can make you feel sexual, it can make you feel like you want to fight. I mean, I think there's a song for every emotion a person has.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like too why have you ever been like on a walk or on a jog or something and or you're like working out and you're listening to a song and then another song comes on and you're like, "Oh my God, now I'm like so tired. I don't." But like if a different song were to come on, you'd be like, "Yeah, let's keep going." You know,
Right.
it's crazy how like it can take you on a roller coaster and like going from one vibe to another vibe can just completely change. It's wild how deep that connects.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is. And so, like, do you play any instruments?
I play the guitar.
Okay.
Yep.
Do
That's pretty much it.
I mean, do you play it on any of your uh any of your singles or anything?
So no, actually I did not. So my producer, Danny Roselle, is very, very talented musician. So he plays a lot of the instruments. The only instrument he's not playing is the drums. And that's Christopher O'Hara, who's on the drums of pretty much all the tracks that I'm going to be releasing. But yeah, Danny is way more talented than me on instrumental. So I let him kind of take the reins with that. But I play all on all my own gigs, when I play acoustic and whatnot, I'll definitely play just to accompany. So I basically learned guitar. I was never really like passionate about guitar playing. It's grown on me as I've gotten older and the more that I am just intrigued by like what I can do with it. But I always kind of saw it as a tool to bring my melodies to life and to bring my lyrics, give my lyrics some substance. And you can't go and play a gig and just sing a cappella. Like nobody wants to hear that. So you have to kind of adopt and learn an instrument. And I would love to learn how to play the keyboard, piano at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that a lot, that people, they use an instrument of sorts, whether it be a guitar, a piano, a bass, whatever, to accent, to get them in the mood for the music that they're writing. Like,
Yeah.
one guy I was talking to, I said, who else used to do that? Eddie Van Halen.
Mm,
Great guitarist, but he would sit down at a piano and wrote his lyrics from the piano. So,
mm.
and then
Very
later on,
cool.
when him and the boys got together, he threw the guitar into it. But
Very cool.
I mean, and that's kind of how a lot of bands talk as how they do their writing process is like they'll, the guys would come in and say, "Hey man, we got this, little jam that we put together, check this out." And then, the singer say, "Oh man, I can work with that," or vice versa. So, I mean, I I I see where you're going with that, that that helps you and that you can't, like you said, stand up there by yourself with this thing. But I mean, honestly, there's a purity to that. And I feel like if you got in like a room full of people that really love music, they probably wouldn't
Mhm.
care. They probably like, yeah, sing it, girl.
Right place, right time for sure. Like maybe a really cool open mic night or something to be like, all right, you know what I mean? Like definitely. But you just go to like play at a brunch, you kind of have to have something to back it up. So it's actually funny because early on when I was like really little, I did a couple like a cappella songs when I was, I don't know, 11, 12. And then eventually my mom was like, okay, but if you want to start booking gigs, like, you have to learn how to play an instrument because nobody's going to want to just hear you sing. And you could always do karaoke, but there's not much that sets you apart from anybody else with that, where's your creative? And I always loved to write too. So like singing other people's songs is awesome. I love singing other people's songs, peppering them in, but I
Mhm.
really like conveying my own messages. I don't know, I like that connection.
Right. So I see you got a few shows coming up. Is that just you and your guitar, or are the guys gonna be joining you?
Yeah, so for those shows, it's just me and my guitar. But I have spoken with Danny, and I think we're gonna get a band going here and start doing some full um, you know, full band gigs here pretty soon, which is exciting.
So I see that it's 12/16 is the last show that you're showing. What are we looking forward to in 2023?
Yeah, well, 2023, I'm gonna be releasing my next single, and then after that, we're going to have a set of other shows as well. So, yeah, all of that's kind of on the near horizon, not too much like in black and white ironed out yet, but I release all of that information from my Instagram, which is just Julia_Poorman, just my first and last name with the underscore in between. And I'm very active on that. So, as soon as I have stuff that comes up, I will release it on there and I'll also release it on my website, which is just juliapoorman.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what is the album called?
So right now, I don't have a definitive plan for an album release. I'm doing singles at this point. So I'm releasing a single every probably 6 to 8 weeks. You'll see something new from me for the next 9 months here. So I did this strategically. I recorded a bunch of stuff and I'm just kind of sitting on it and I'm just gonna kind of release it, when everybody's kind of ready for something more. Um, but yeah, I didn't want to put out as especially as like a re-emerging artist because I'm not a new artist. I've been doing this for a long time, but I had a like a 7 year stint where I really didn't focus on music. So I'm kind of re-emerging
Mhm.
and everything has changed since I was,
Yeah.
18 years old when I did my first EP. Everything has really changed, like the market, the digital aspect of everything. So yeah, so everybody's attention span is a lot less. So it's like, I didn't want to release too much because it is a lot of work and a lot of time to put your energy into like, 10 songs and then just put it out there and then be like, okay, now I gotta write and record a whole new 10
Right.
songs, right?
Right.
So the way that I'm doing it, the way that I'm, re-emerging is just releasing stuff every 6 to 8 weeks for now. And then maybe I will do like an album release with all of those songs and then maybe a couple extra songs and put out like a full length album.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's with the digital age, that's what a lot of people are doing is, they're releasing single after single. Some guys are well, I don't even want to say 'cause some guys, some musicians are doing, every couple of weeks,
Yeah.
every month or something, and it makes a lot of sense. I mean, honestly, I've talked about this over and over again. I miss the old days of, cassette tapes and CDs. Uh,
Yes.
Vinyl's making a comeback, but hopefully that can stick. I just, that's more of a what people are saying is, we have it pressed and we sell it at our concerts, at our merch table,
Right.
not something that is going into the record stores. You know,
Right.
those
People
don't
want something physical when they're there. They're like, oh, cool, I'll buy the record or I'll buy a t-shirt. Right.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean, so it that I would love for it to make a comeback. I just don't know that it ever will. So I mean, I understand, you guys really have to be strategic with that. Because I mean, back in the day, it was more of, um, you made your money off of album sales and concerts.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, now it's just purely concerts and merch. You know,
Yeah.
and I mean, I was doing a live interview with a guy, and he said, "I'll be back, man." He goes, "I gotta go get my gas money down here at the merch table," and he says, "Then I'll, come talk to you."
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So true.
So yeah, I mean, it's a total different game, and I mean that's just life, I mean, it's always changing, and you either change with it or you get left behind. And
Yeah.
so I mean, artists, young artists such as yourself, I mean, you're way more in tune of what to do, especially since you've done this before. I mean, you said you was 18, so I mean, probably back in the day of CDs.
Yeah. So I made I think it was 500 CDs, and it was like 2011 going into 2012 because I was a senior in high school at the time. And just being at that age, like I immediately after I graduated high school, I went off to college, and I never graduated college, but I wanted to have the college experience. And I kind of at that point, there was like a lot of stuff going on in my household and whatnot. And I kind of at that point took a break from music, which my parents were like, well, we just took you to Manhattan, and you just made all these CDs, and now we're sitting on all these CDs, and what do you do? For maybe like a month I was playing out and I sold some, but then I just sat on them for so long. So it's been funny over the last like year since I've been reemerging. I'm like, buy my CD if you still have a car that will play one, because my car doesn't and my computer doesn't. I literally don't have access to a CD player, which is wild. Because for a while it was like, okay, well, maybe this doesn't have it, but my car will, or, something will have a CD player. Now nothing has a CD player. So I'm trying to unload these CDs that are like, 10 years old, but some people still want
Oh
them.
yeah. Yeah, you have to buy like an external disk drive or anything like that if you wanted.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if anybody, I mean, I still got one, but if anybody has a DVD player, you can play them on that. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying is like with, vinyl, that at least they are selling, record players. Uh,
Yes. And those are like cool. They're like trendy now,
mhm.
like Urban Outfitters is selling record players. I'm sure they're not great, but like you go into a store and they're selling them. So there's definitely a niche for that. And that would be a cool idea too. Like if I do put out a record to actually make some vinyls, that would be really awesome. So maybe
Right.
that's in the near future.
And I mean, it's one a band that I talked to. They said that they love the nostalgia of a cassette, so they're thinking about getting with Sony or one of them, and talking about, hey, can we get some Walkmans and we'll sell the Walkmans and the cassette together at our merch table.
Wow. Wow, that's super cool.
And
Yeah,
I'm
so then
like,
it's like you don't even have to have it. You can buy it here. Like
right. And I'm like, man, if I seen somebody walk down the street with a Walkman, I'd probably fall out. I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
because it has been years and years since I've seen one of those. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said, it is what it is. I mean, streaming is great. It's just, I, being a music lover and admirer of bands and musicians and talent, the talent it takes to do it, it kind of saddens me that now it's been made even harder for you guys to make a good living at it, you know.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, we're trying so hard to get the music out to the masses, and the way that you do that is streaming platforms, but
Hmm.
you're making fractions of a cent for every stream. So, you usually have to pay to get your music out there. So you're kind of like investing, you're definitely investing and then hoping that you see a return on that. Otherwise, you're just kind of like sticking it up there. And if you don't want to pay to have it, like, everything that if you're starting a new company or you're starting a new brand or anything, like, you have to put advertising dollars into it. And that's sort of the way that I see it. And that's how a lot of artists are doing it. And then
Right.
once you get on that algorithmic, um, once the algorithm recognizes you, right, then things start to get a little bit easier and that momentum builds. But you really do have to like carve your way. And even then, you need millions and millions of streams
Hmm.
consistently to like make a living, you know? So it's not impossible. Um, but it's definitely tough, especially in a very saturated market. So yeah, I mean, if you can, the way that what I've been being told is the way to make your money is, create a great fan base and get out there and play shows and sell your merch. And that streaming stuff that comes in, like, that's just kind of sprinkles. It's like a cherry on the top.
Well, and again, that's, like I said, that's why I do this is, I don't have thousands of subscribers or anything. I mean, I'm still trying to carve my way in,
Hmm.
when I started doing this, I thought, hey, it's kind of unique. No, there's there's all kinds of people doing it. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I've been at a gig before where, like, you know, uh, um, one of the band members has a different publicist, and there's a guy with him waiting to get into the room to do an interview when you finish up. So, but I mean, I think the what makes mine more unique is, I like talking about your music, what you're doing, what your plans are, and then just chat. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because I feel like, obviously you love music or you wouldn't play it, you know, and I love music because I just do. I always have, always will. So I try to incorporate that a little bit where we can talk about, hey, this is how it makes me feel, or this is how I feel about it, or these are my favorites, my influences, whatever.
Mm.
And I try my best to leave that. That's the most cliche question ever. Who's your
Yeah.
influences?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather say, like I asked you, what really got you into music? I want to know, was it your family, or was it just you was like down one day and you heard this song and you're like, you know what, that's what I want to do for a living. I mean, I've heard so many explanations, and it's a lot better than hearing, well, Cheryl Crow, or Macy Gray, or Metallica, or whatever. I mean, of course, you can tell, like with the rock bands, you can tell from their playing style, okay, this person was quite the influence on
Mm. Wow.
me.
Yeah. Very true. Very
Right.
true.
Or even with, singer songwriters, um, but it's it's more important to me of how you got into it, and I
Yeah.
think, like you said, people have a short attention span. My average watch, I mean, my videos are typically anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes, and my average watch is 14 minutes. So they might
Yeah.
skim through it, you know what I mean? But again, it's therapeutic for me. It's fun for me. Like, singer songwriters, for instance, I had this duo, Dozat Saint Marie, and they redid Bonnie Raitt's, what's that one song? I Can't Make You Love Me. And
Okay.
they sang it for me at the end of the interview. And
Very cool.
it was phenomenal. I got goosebumps. I was almost in tears. I mean, she has such a beautiful voice, and I posted it. I was all happy. Bam, copyright claim. I'm like, are you?
Ah, yes, they're on it.
Yes.
They're swooping in.
So now what I do is I take, your newest YouTube video or however I can get the link and I put it in the description. That way people can say, hey, I don't want to listen to this dude talk. I want to hear a song. So it helps
Well,
us both.
thank you for doing what you're doing though, because it is cool. Like, and you said that there's a lot of people doing what you're doing, but you do have your own spin on things and your own take on things. And I think we all have to kind of look at it that way because I could sit here and say the same thing, well, there's a million singer-songwriter girls that are, oh, inspired by Taylor Swift and da 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 da. You know what I mean? It's like all kind
Right.
of the same. Yeah, but we all bring our own flavor and we all have our own stories, and that all comes across differently in the music, and different people will gravitate towards it. And what you're doing is definitely fulfilling a niche, and you're inspiring other people as well. And I'm sure it's fulfilling for a lot of the artists that you have on. And for me, this was super cool because this was my first interview since releasing anything. So I'm super excited to be here. So thank you for just having me and helping me break the ice a little bit.
Hey, I'm honored to be your first one in however long it's been. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's something else I've been, contemplating is after the first of the year, maybe springtime is starting a podcast, and at that point doing like maybe 15 minutes worth of just, news and this day in music or whatever. But my main goal of it is to get independent artists to send me, their music so I can play it,
Very
that,
cool. Yeah,
that way I can play it and not get, any trouble for it. Now, if you're under a label, then there's all that
right,
business. But
right.
most of the artists I talk to are independent, and I love that the DIY just work ethic of these artists is just it's amazing. I mean,
Oh
you
yeah.
look at the blood, sweat, and tears they put into it, and I mean, I'm sure you're 100% familiar with it. So,
Yeah, definitely. And I think the outlook has changed too. And also just technology has changed. I mean, so many people are making music like in their bedrooms.
mhm.
And I even got a song on The Young and the Restless, the soap opera.
Yeah.
And I recorded that song, and I had help from a producer, who had his own home studio, but I recorded that song in the back of my house. So like the ones that I'm releasing like already got it and whatnot. Those were all done in a professional studio, but like some stuff you can get away with just like such a small little setup and very little overhead. And I think like the outlook used to be, okay, I want to get signed to a label because that was the way to make it on the radio and that was the way to make it. But things have just changed so much that like, you can create music in your bedroom, you can put it out the next day, and you can have a million followers. I mean, if all went golden, 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 luck was on your side every step of the way, you could have millions of TikTok views, 48 hours after that. And then it's like, you just completely like you don't need a label at that point, and maybe you want one,
But
but
I mean, that's a whole different animal too. So,
oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm doing the same thing. I'm sitting at my dining room table. Like if I pop down the logo, you're going to see a window and pictures on the wall.
I didn't even have a backdrop. I just put you in front of a window. So
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. I don't I've invested money in this, but I haven't gone completely crazy because trust me, if I had the money, I'd be in a studio and have, professional grade everything. But you know what? Again, I just enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy talking to
yeah.
artists, and Julia, I really appreciate you joining me this evening. Um, I look forward to 2023, some new music.
Yes.
Possibly seeing you out this way or something, if you guys decide to hit the road.
That would be very cool. We have another business where we traveled for trade shows and whatnot. So It's a very real possibility that I'll be doing some stuff like in the Vegas area and then maybe make a cool road trip back east and maybe hit up some cities. So that would be cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, I will let you get back to what you was doing, and I will get this edited and up on YouTube, and I'll send Shauna a link so she can send it to you. And again, thank you very much.
Very cool. Yeah, thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. It was
All
nice to
right.
meet you.
You too. Have a good evening.
All right, you too. Bye bye.